What's going on, everybody? I'm Blockchain Crusader, Crusade through blockchains every single day. And with the man, the myth, the legend himself, CVO Crypto, every single day here, Tuesday through Thursday. We're going to wrap up this week today strong with a lot of data, information, and potential Bitcoin breakouts here. CVO, how you feeling, bro?
Doing good, man. Coming to you every single day, Tuesday through Thursday. Man, what a time, buddy. It's been a nice little exciting morning. Everybody was probably waiting with bated breath yesterday as we felt like the world stood still waiting for NVDA earnings that didn't really turn out
They
to be too
bought the
much.
dip. The money was buying that dip. And we'll see if it plays out for them. We'll cover that later today on the show here on the stream. But NVIDIA, bro, I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something right.
Okay, got them big earnings. Well, we got the morning stream and we got the Crusader robe. So I know today is going to be a good day.
It's going to be a good day, bro.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can already feel it. I
that's
can
it.
already feel it. See if we can get into a good trade today. Yesterday was wild for trading. Took three trades, two trades on the show, one after the show. After the show, we finally got the ultimate previous day value low swing, and we were able to take that and long it all the way back up to daily open, and bing bang boom. That was able to make back the two smaller losses and my 10% for the day. So we'll see if we can recapture another trade here today and close out the week in the positive, baby, for like at least what, $500 this week, something like that. So
Yeah. I was gonna say whatever it's what, like 3 days in a row you've done at least your $100.
yep, yeah, 3 days in a row.
Like, nice. Yeah, we'll check it out. I actually jumped into a trade right before we started this just because it was kind of hitting. So, um, but
So
yeah,
it up, it up.
we'll see how it goes here. Yeah, I guess I should share my screen here.
Appreciate everybody jumping in here, smashing those likes. If you're on TikTok, tap that screen, get those likes rocking and rolling. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe, hit those like buttons. It really helps us out. We greatly appreciate it. All right.
Yes, sir. All right, so just looking at Bitcoin from, well, we'll just kind of take off everything right here. Where we just starting out, I just came into that VWAP, but we were looking
Could
at
you zoom in a little bit?
I'm sorry.
Uh, could you zoom in a little bit to like
You
the
always
candles
you
because you
always want me
can't
to
really
zoom in.
tell.
I don't like
Yeah,
that.
because I'm blind, I'm
I
old,
like to I
and I
like to
know
look at
there's
the whole
older people
chart,
out
man.
there. I can't see the numbers.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, we had pretty much, trading sideways all yesterday, right? And yesterday was when we were
Yep.
kind of on the live stream. We covered this kind of move yet over here. And this was the one we were looking at yesterday where was like the best setup, right? There was like three entries ideally, at least during the time that we were on the stream. We took two of them. One was pretty much an immediate little stop. The second one had a good amount of little green. Should have probably took profit there, but it ended up kind of coming back. I believe it stopped us out as well. And then the ultimate move for the day, which kind of literally came right after we got done, was right here, right? So we swept the low, and then like Crusader said, we ran it back up to the daily open. These are just small, short-term things we're looking for. Um, and as far as today goes now, right, we were just kind of trending sideways. Really nothing to ride home about with all the news. Yes, or I'm not a huge news guy, but there is definitely times where like the market just seems like it's standing still. So you kind of want to have everything prepared before you get these
GDP
big
data, baby.
these
GDP
big
data
these
came
big
out
news events. Yeah, the
today.
GDP, and then you had and then the Nvidia. Um, but yeah, and the GDP stuff, I didn't even look at it. What was that this morning?
We'll cover it in a little bit. I actually have articles pulled up. You can see it. There was an increase in it, which means it's good. Means people are spending more money. So it's overall good. Is what I'm saying. So therefore, could be leading us more potentially into the overall interest rate cut, maybe in September, finally happening. I don't know,
Okay,
but
interesting,
we'll
interesting.
cover the specific data in a little bit.
As far as Bitcoin, otherwise, we basically kind of slowly kind of grinded up this morning. Let's see, where were we at a couple hours back? But we pretty much came up and we swept yesterday's high pretty quickly. If you go to the 15-minute candle, maybe that's why it looks so. I was on the very zoomed in time there. But we started off and we took yesterday's high, which usually is an area that I look to short, which is pretty much what we did yesterday, right? We looked for the long once you took the high, when we took the daily low. The
Yep.
only reason I didn't look for the short right here, it was because if you look over at, and I have it on the other browser, so I have to add it to this one, so I'll have it for tomorrow. But I posted it in the Discord where essentially, let me see if I can bring that up real quick. we'll see if we can
The
just bring it.
Discord.
Yeah, we'll bring it up fresh.
I can bring it up if you need me to. That way you don't do.
There
Oh,
she
there
is,
you go.
baby. Okay. So yeah, so right here I was putting all the morning updates and pretty much right here, right? Previous day range, swept the high at the moment. So the risk was, for a slight pullback if we rejected there. However, if you looked over at the order flow, which is a separate software that kind of shows, where people are coming in, buying, and a little bit of the behavior like from behind the scenes, you had basically the price was going up while essentially the CBD was going down, which this is basically showing that retail was trying to short right there, right? Like everybody's coming in piling on shorts while the price is going up, meaning that some like a larger entity pretty much was scooping up all the shorts, which generally leads to a push up. It's not perfect, it's not exact, but it was just something that for me for today I decided not to short that high. Getting swept because generally it leads to a strong and a fast move up, right? So from there, I was looking to just basically flip yesterday's high, and then I was going to look to the weekly open, which that's kind of like my main target from this point on now, right? So a couple of cool things about the previous day high as well, right? So that's 60,248. Now we can look at it, now that a little bit of time has passed, and we slowly just kind of basically flipped it right here. We've gotten a little push. We just came into the quarterly VWAP, which is where I probably should have took a little profit off the table, just of the short-term trade, right? I'm just kind of walking everybody through the short-term idea for the morning so far, and then obviously looking, I'll kind of expand on some bigger time frame stuff here. But we basically flipped the previous day high, ran into a quarterly VWAP, so we might get a little pullback right here. Otherwise, looking to continue onward, we do have a daily naked point of control, which is a volume target left over from Monday. We've got another one up here as well. But ultimately, I actually look to run it back to the weekly open, which is an untapped daily as well, back up here at 64K. But once again, the thing about the previous day high right now that I want to kind of see us like holding this. Obviously, like very short term, we can kind of fluctuate and kind of come back and tag the VWAP, and you got a couple things down below us, of course. But if you zoom it out now, right? So that's just yesterday's information. But let's take a look at the overall range that we've been in, right? Because that's kind of been the saving grace, right? The area that like we want to see us holding within, and this is all the way back from if you pull the fixed range volume profile from all the way back in February, the whole range we've been trading in for 6-7 months now. It feels like we came into it. Obviously, we dumped out of it last week. We rotated last week's range, which we covered that on Tuesday. But now we're breaking back into this region, right? And then yesterday we talked about what I wanted to see was at the end of this week is if we close the weekly back in the range, right? So that's one thing I'll be looking for where you see how we 2-3 weeks ago, right? This is the 5th, so this is when we actually hit that 48K low. Can you see this okay
Yep.
on your
Yep. Yep.
screen?
Mhm.
Okay. We were hitting our head, and then last week we broke in pretty strongly, got back into the range, and ideally we want to see a close back above that 60,200, pretty much literally yesterday's high, right where we're kind of flirting around right now. Close that on Sunday, and that's basically looks to be a weekly reclaim of the range, and then we'd look to run that range once again back to the upside. So a little work in progress, obviously, but that's kind of what I'm looking to at the moment in the short term.
That would definitely be some very good news to see that weekly close above the value area low of that range, showing that Bitcoin should be showing some strength here to run it back up closer to that 70,000, which is like the value area high for that range. Which puts us really close to all time highs. Even though yesterday we were talking about fundamentally September is an ugly month, maybe this September will be the fourth September in Bitcoin's history that's actually positive. We just never know, but it's definitely a good sign from what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, and the stock market obviously is pushing into some highs. And it's just really a time where I actually just went through and I updated a couple things for NVIDIA for one, the S&P 500, and a couple other things because I was looking to just kind of identify some key regions or maybe a potential pattern that like could start playing out, right? Because I had a pretty bearish setup on the SPY, on the Nasdaq, obviously on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, all those weeks ago, and the stock market front ran a lot of the lower targets. We got the pullback right when I was aiming for, which was about a 10% drop, but there was some more lower levels, like probably just about 5% more. So either way, I mean that pattern did identify an area where we were going to get a pullback from. But now we got to realize that if we come back, are we going to start breaking into new highs, and what are those going to look like? And I think that there's potential for that. And then when you look around and you see everybody, especially from weeks back, especially in the stock market where everyone's kind of crossing their fingers and hoping that this is the pullback. I know that sounds almost weird because obviously you got plenty of people in the market that are like making money and they're wanting it to go forward, but any kind of like in traders and investors and some of these guys, the talking heads basically have all been like, oh, it's coming down, this is the beginning of the end. And um if we push back up through those highs, I think we got some continuation, man, some more upside coming. So it's just a
Let's
time
get it.
to be aware of everything. But even just stocks and crypto aside, like that, this range that we're in for Bitcoin is just very important. That 60,300, so closing that in this week would be ideal, in my opinion, because that would just show off another shakeout, I guess you could call it. But when we dumped out, everybody got so fearful, man. Like just a couple days ago, or was it even just yesterday, or whenever it was? Maybe it was Tuesday when we were looking at that huge drop back down to 58, and then now we're back up to 2 days later. We're back up to it, right? So yeah,
I'm
some
talking about.
crazy times.
Yeah, dude. Very, very crazy times. I'm talking about NVIDIA. I'll share my screen here for a second. We'll hit some of that. Hit some fundamental information here for crypto as well, and then we'll get back into some more charts here. So obviously, NVIDIA, the buyers were buying the dip in the pre-market, and it was up about 6% already from the pre-market alone, just because of what's been happening with the reports. Right, the earnings reports came out positive, came out really good. You can see here as well, the GDP grew at 2.8% faster in this second quarter than in the first quarter, which is obviously some pretty good. Shows the personal consumption expenditure price index, a key measure for the Fed, rose 2.6% for the quarter, down from the 3.4 from the first quarter. Core PCE prices were up 2.9%, down from the 3.7% overall. Pretty good there. However, the reports indicate that personal savings is something that we've been talking about a little bit as well. Is has the personal savings rate continues to decelerate at 3.5%, meaning people have less and less money in their personal savings. And somebody was actually mentioning, I think it was Joshua Jake actually mentioned it over here on Twitter. Says the reason why we haven't had a Bitcoin or crypto bull run really is because under Biden and Harris, we're pretty much broke, right? People are broke, and the interest rates have wiped out liquidity. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how much I agree with that. I don't think retail is really pushing Bitcoin's price right now in any kind of way. I know retail is always a part of it, but I don't really see them pushing the price anymore. Than before. Yes, when Bitcoin was 3,000, 10,000, 20,000, for sure, but not at these rates anymore. We also have what you call it over here. Where is it? I lost it.
That's such an interesting take, and I think that that's only because the market seems slow right now for the last few months. But I would argue we had a very much bull run, or are in the midst of it still. And like, I mean,
Oh
you're
yeah.
talking 15K to 74. That's a blow off top, basically. I mean, if I've ever seen one, and then on top of that, the stock market as well. So I mean, it's kind of an interesting take, but I think it's just because the market's boring right now, and people are not making money hand over fist every day, right this moment. And
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and it's just the slow grind part, and it's the time when like you got to actually kind of grind it out. But I would 1,000% disagree that we haven't had a bull market like
Yeah, I would disagree
because
with that.
under the current I yeah, never mind. We'll just
I would
continue.
disagree with that statement that he said as well. Not just because of the the savings or whatever, people don't have money. I think it also depends on. I do believe we've had a massive bull run already, like you mentioned, right from October of last year till March, April of this year. Bitcoin running up to 73,000 from 15,000 is massive, massive gains. All coins up thousands of percent, right? Um, but at the same time, I also think a lot of retail investors have been very distracted with the meme coins, very, very distracted with the meme coins and the liquidity from retail. Just instead of investing into longer term, bigger projects, they all want to get the 1000x, 100x in 2 days on meme coins, and then they all end up getting wrecked consistently, losing thousands and thousands of dollars. So they get knocked out of the market way quicker than before. Um, Over here as well, we got a Bitcoin whale that bought 1,000 Bitcoin during a brief dip below 58,000, which was literally like 2 days ago. While smaller traders panicked, big players are quietly accumulating. That's something you guys need to be paying attention to when things are dropping. Look at this guy buying up 1,000 Bitcoin. And that's nothing to scuff at. That's a huge number of Bitcoin right there.
1,000 Bitcoin. Yeah, that's
Yeah, a
monstrous.
thousand freaking
That's
Bitcoin.
one person, one wallet. I mean, picking that
One
up.
wallet.
So could
Yeah.
that be like an exchange or something,
It could be, maybe.
or I
I
guess like
don't know.
BlackRock or something like that? I
Um,
guess yeah.
I
Thousand
don't. I'm not
Bitcoin, man.
100%,
That's
but I would doubt that it's the ETFs because if the ETFs were going to buy it, they would have just we would have seen in the ETF inflow. It looks like it's just a random wallet of some kind that bought it. So that there's a guy out there that called Mister 100. Every time he makes a purchase, he purchases minimum 100 Bitcoin, and they've been tracking his wallet forever now, and he one in one day he'll buy like 600, 900 Bitcoin in one day, and he just buys, and he sells too, but he all his buys are minimum 100 Bitcoin, so he's buying a lot.
Makes me think
Um,
of Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank.
yeah,
Maybe they're the same
basically,
guy.
maybe. We
He's
also got BlackRock announced a launch of an Ethereum ETF, spot ETF in Brazil. So another ETF around the world. More ETFs are happening. Spot ETFs for Ethereum. We also, on top of that, we also had another piece of news here. Obviously, we got some Bitcoin mining action over there in El Salvador using geothermal plant. Right, that's always cool. We finally see the U.S. Ethereum ETFs buying up $5.9 million of Ethereum as inflows on the 28th yesterday, breaking a 9-day outflow. Finally, some inflow happening to the Ethereum ETFs after 9 days of consistently selling Ethereum. So finally, that's some good news here for Ethereum as well. We saw Ethereum going back up. Going back to NVIDIA, this is the post that I was talking about. So right here, Wall Street banks raise price targets for Nvidia across the board after earnings beat despite the stock falling. Morgan Stanley, you can see all the institutional names here. They're all about would be within $150 to about 165 is the highest. Everyone's saying from 120 where it's currently at right now, it's gonna go to 150, 165, give or take. Which you mentioned to me, you had a little something about Nvidia stock market and its chart. Why don't you bring that up and show the people what they got
what
for
was
all the
what
dumb
were
money out
the what did you say that they were targeting again? I'm sorry.
somewhere between 150 to 165. 150 being the average, 165 being the highest.
Okay. Yeah. So and for this, let's take a peek.
We have some more fundamental news for crypto. We'll cover that in a little bit as well. We got some major news about some upgrades happening to some different networks, and a lot of other things that are happening as well. But we'll cover that in a little bit. We're getting back to some of the TA. We even also have Dell's earnings call is scheduled for today, which is going to be very important, and I'll tell you why in a little bit.
I like Dell. I'm interested to hear. Yeah, so for NVIDIA, right? I guess me, back when we were trading in these regions here, I had several levels that I was, looking for a pullback to. We cleared them out pretty well. It's like a little boxed region with one main one being back down to this $89, and then potentially even down to these lower levels here. But we obviously got the bounce back here, and one thing that I was kind of looking into was the potential, to see like, all right, I feel like, ideally this could just be a little double top. You're making a lower high here, and we could definitely roll over. So it's something that should be considered. However, what would be the upside case? So downside is simple. Obviously, back we even actually front ran this 6 month naked point of control here, but I mean, effectively, I would consider that tapped. I think we went down to 90, and I was looking at 89.99, so we went $1 higher. Um, Aside from that, obviously you got local level down, or not local, but a macro gold pocket and all that. So any more like meltdown, that's pretty much kind of the key levels I'd be looking to. Uh, but as far as upside, we've got a potential for what's called the AB equals CD pattern. All right, and this is a potential harmonic that's in play, and I use the word potential because that's the key word because it's not completed yet. Um, So it's, this could definitely is just an idea at the moment, right? This is like kind of
Yeah, it can be
pre
invalidated,
it's
and
kind of
it's like,
like
oh,
pre-identifying like
yeah,
a Head and Shoulders or something, right? You can't really work off of it till it's completed, but there's a
yep.
little bit of confluence up here, and I look for these, especially when we have sharp moves down like we did right here, right? So, um, and this is so far a pretty perfect setup with a 786 retrace. Essentially, you want to look to it between the A to C, and then potentially a 127 expansion, which can go a little more as well. But I did note that we have a 1-to-1, so a trend-based fib extension here. So if you just pull from this low to this high, and you basically just uh, project it from this low right here, it's going to give you a local gold pocket from the local trend, and then a local 1-to-1, which meaning basically just like a measured move almost of this exact run up, just projected from here. And you can see that we already ran up into the gold pocket and got that little rejection right here. Could we roll over? Sure. We're sitting on a quarterly VWAP right now. But if this does, continue to move up, 156 basically is the spot that I'm looking to as well. So interesting that they noted that one too. But thing about this is, this would be not super fast, and this is like something that's already taken since April, to kind of start building out. So if this is the complete, I would imagine this is probably still like a few more months away, October time, November time, maybe even December. So it's just something to kind of be aware of there.